Old man doing a podcast. Real weirdos. We have English degrees. Real weirdos. We talk about movies for way too goddamn long. And we're back again.
We had
two instances of one of us couldn't or didn't show up, and then we did an intro a few minutes ago for this, which we had some audio problems, but we're back again, and hopefully this will be the one that you hear, dear listener. Finally.
Hopefully.
3.5 times the charm?
Yeah.
Or something?
I believe that's where we're at.
I mean, yeah. It's like it's cursed.
It's cursed.
The soul of Frank doesn't want us to talk about this.
Yeah, and a fucking jet engine's going to fall through your window here.
Exactly.
Yep.
Just keep us from doing this podcast to talk about Donald Darkinson. Yeah, how you guys doing? Alex Abear, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing well. Excited to talk about a movie.
Enjoyed listening to you guys editing your episode on Chernobyl, which will be out before this.
Chernobyl.
Made me curious to watch it.
Did it, though?
Did it?
So it half did.
Okay.
I feel like I would have gotten a lot more from the conversation if I had seen it, because there was a lot of summary. And I was like, my brain kind of teetered off.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, this sounds like a good show.
It is. You should definitely
It sounded like a
it
good
out.
show. And I trust your taste most of the time. Man on Fire, borderline. Alex has had some weird ones. Funny games. You know, oh, there it is. We were just talking about how the dogs will bark as soon as we start.
It's impossible to avoid it. The second I start
It's
talking.
cool. I like it. I think they're members now.
Come on, boys.
Maybe we'll just integrate them
They're
instead of me editing them out every time.
Sub-members of the Reel Weirdos.
I'd be like, what do you think about Sparkle Motion, Zeus? Are you excited to see Samantha Darko
There
do
he
a
goes.
sweet dance?
I don't know what they're whining about, but there's something outside that they really want to say hi to.
It's an animal or a food or a...
Mostly just
know.
a person shutting their car door.
Sparkle Motion brings me closer to God. I know that for sure.
Oh my god. All right, let's talk about this fucking movie.
Oh, you don't like this movie?
Yeah, Jeff hated this movie, everyone.
Yeah,
it's fucking
one of my
movie,
least
he
favorites.
says.
Alex, why did you pick this bullshit?
So irritated.
It's so clenched.
Even when it's so clenched. It's a clenched man. I say it all the time.
Oh, no, I love this movie. It's amazing.
Well, today, welcome back to the Reel Weirdos. We're 2.5 white men with English degrees. Talk about movies for way too goddamn long. Today, we're talking about Donnie Darko, 2001 film from director Richard Kelly. Jeff, you picked the Donnie Darko. Tell us about it.
I did. Yep, it's just one of the many movies in the treasure chest of nostalgia that I open up every time I do this podcast, and it's my turn to pick. I just go, oh, what's in here? Okay,
Like dig around.
VHSs, a bunch of Power Ranger VHSs, okay.
We could have done
Cool.
those.
Yeah, we could have done those, okay. All
Power
the mob
Ranger
movies.
versus Mechagodzilla.
You know, yeah, and then in there's this broody 14-year-old favorite of mine, Donald Darkinson.
That is his name. Alex, did you enjoy Donald Darkinson?
I did. It was better than the first times I was shown this movie. And I think it was because it was a big movie to like when I was in middle school. Around that same, like, preteen era for me, at least. And it was
Right.
like everybody's first flirtation with a
Jake
dark
Gyllenhaal.
movie. No. No. Please.
No?
No.
You don't find Jake Gyllenhaal flirt-worthy?
Oh, absolutely. I just mean that, like...
Okay. Just had to check.
I think
Had
Bubble
to check
Boy is
there.
obviously the most striking example of this human perfection.
Yeah, it's not Nocturnal Animals.
No,
it's not Donnie
any of that
Darko.
bullshit. Not even.
It's not Jarhead.
No.
Yeah. It's Bubble Boy.
Yes.
The shining star of his filmography.
Yeah, I mean, he just oozes and waxes sexuality in that movie.
Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, it was like, this was a big movie to like in middle school. And when I first saw it, I was like, what's everyone's big deal with this movie? And I honestly didn't like it. But now that I'm much more mature, I have to just admit that it was like, I didn't like that everybody liked it, you know, and that I thought everyone thought
Alex
it was
the
so
contrarian.
cool. And
Alex,
honestly,
too cool.
maybe I just didn't get it because I was an idiot at the time. And that made me even more angry.
I was about to say when I was about to be like, oh no, now that you get it, bro.
Yeah.
Well, in your defense, I believe the version we watched this time, which is the director's cut, is much more understandable. It utilizes these title cards in between sequences that kind of tell you what the movie is doing, which the original cut did not do. But we'll get to that. I want to set up my history with Mr. Donaldo here. So I'm a little older than you guys. When this movie came out, I was just starting high school. And I had I had either like a mohawk or like long black hair, dyed black hair. And it was just the perfect time for this movie to come out for me. It's a high school movie. It had that like sort of gothy edge to it. And I was just in love. I loved this movie. I probably watched it more than almost anything else. Maybe not The Crow. I probably watched The Crow more, which we'll be doing next week. And I hadn't seen this in probably 10 years until I rewatched it last week. And it was like rediscovering just an absolute classic. I loved every moment of this movie. And it's one of those movies where it's hard to divorce myself from the nostalgia and look at it from like a purely critical standpoint, which you wouldn't want to do anyway. But it is a point to make, right? Like this is one of my favorite movies. And it's crazy to me that I hadn't seen it in this long. Like little tears were coming to my eyes. I loved all of it. I'm so glad you picked it.
Yeah, I thought it was great, honestly, the second time around. And I thought it was great because I feel like the people who liked it were trying way too hard when I first saw it the first time. And I ascribed that to the movie as well. And then when I saw it this time, I was like, this movie, like nothing about this movie I feel like is phony or campy or like ham-fisted or anything like that. I think it's actually really good. And the director's cut was cool. I liked how long it was. It was funny to see the title cards were obviously made on like Word, but whatever.
That was great.
Yeah, without getting too deep into the plot, which we'll get to later, this film for me operates in like 3 different layers, right? And I think they're all pretty equally successful and well balanced. Layer 1 is like a family drama about a pretty normal household that just happens to have a son with psychological problems. The mom drinks a little too much. The older daughter's about to go to college. The younger sibling has her pop group, Sparkle Motion.
Yeah.
And dad he's kind of uncommunicative, but he sort of gets who Donnie is, and I like their dynamic.
He's a Republican asshole in the 90s.
Yeah,
like,
but they have that moment later where he's like, people out there are just full of shit. That's what you got to understand. But the point is, all these characters feel very real, and their dynamic works really well. Layer 2 is possibly my favorite layer, and I think I'm wondering if you guys agree on this. I think this is one of the all-time great high school movies.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it captures that dynamic of feeling awkward and alone. I mean, I think a lot of people identified with Donnie. I definitely think they played him off a little like, he's like a cooler version of a lot of who this kid was in high school. A lot of this time, most of these kids had a little bit more of like a Columbine feel to them. Yeah,
you wanted to be Donnie, blah, blah, blah. You wanted to be Donald Darko.
You wanted to be as cool as him with the same psychological issues that you had as he did.
Yeah.
But it captured the high school dynamic well, like being awkward around girls, wanting to say something and stand up to these like shitty teachers, but like
that's
feeling a little
more
scared
what I
too.
meant. Yes, you wanted to be who he was, like in that school sphere, because you would look around and be like, these people around me are fucking morons, and like the teachers, I don't know. It's like you felt like you understood something that very few other people did. You felt smarter for some reason.
It definitely has the Holden Caulfield Catcher in the Rye vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that long, wonderful tracking shot that sets up the dynamic of the school. It goes through, it shows you its vast cast of characters, like the cool science and English teachers, the bullies, the dorky kids. It strikes this nice balance between like being sort of darkly whimsical and realistic. I mean, a lot of the characters are archetypes as well, very obviously so, but because the writing, direction, acting, and I think like just Richard Kelly's authorial voice is so strong in this film, everything is like perfectly translated.
I don't think that the high school drama layer that you're talking about is what, for me, makes this movie great, but I feel like it makes this movie an essential if you're making or compiling a list of like high school movies to watch, right? Or movies about high school. I think it's unique in its own sense that it takes it out of just being some high school drama movie, but like you said, it's all layers, right? I'm just trying to figure out which layer you think is the most prominent one.
Well, layer 3 is where it gets bonkers. That's the time travel, alternate dimension, science fiction element. And I think that one, I don't know, I think that's the one that is the worst translated, but it's also possibly the most interesting. And it's the one that ties the whole movie into its like tonality and its plot, right? Like without that element, it wouldn't be Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, but I think the high school element is the strongest, and I love all that stuff. But I'm curious what you guys think.
I definitely think the high school element's the strongest, and it's the most well played element. But I think that's just because that element has been done a lot. That's a very common trope, especially around this time. So I think the best element, I believe, is the time travel stuff. Actually, it's definitely more underwritten and a little more half-baked than I think it could have been. But at the same time, if you put too much of the time travel elements into the movie, it ceases to become what it is, and it now becomes more like a time travel movie and like more of like a boilerplate science fiction instead of this strange avant-garde. Almost, it's a fractured movie, but it almost benefits from the fact that it is a bit fractured feeling, if that makes sense.
I don't know if I understood this movie like at all when I loved it back in the day, but I still loved it. But I couldn't have told you like what was happening a lot of the time, which is why the director's cut is so good. It shows you, it just tells you.
It's very cohesive,
like, okay,
yeah.
It just tells you what's happening because it has to, essentially.
I think that's the beauty of this movie, and that's why I like it, is because it could have just been a normal high school film, and on its own merit, it would have been a pretty strong and cohesive film if it was just like this high school story of this awkward kind of like borderline schizophrenic psychotic kid with mental health issues who like breaks out of his cocoon, meets this chick,
gets
whatever.
A girlfriend.
Yeah, but the science fiction aspect of it makes that's what makes it Donnie Darko, like Jeff said, and I think that's what makes it cool and unique and different. I don't know, so I think obviously they're layers, but I don't think they're layers that are separated from each other. I think they're intertwined very well, and the sci-fi one is necessary to make it a unique movie and not just like every other high school movie, because it's like almost the universe, what is happening is the universe is giving this character, who happens to be a high school kid, a chance to indulge in a world where he decides for just a limited amount of time he can do all the things he's wanted to do. Throw a party and all this jazz and, get with the girl and whatnot and truly express himself.
He doesn't realize that it's a tangential reality, I think maybe until the final moments. But it gets weird. It gets crazy at the end, definitely.
It makes
Frank
it sweet,
and all
though.
that stuff.
It makes it like it makes the high school thing make sense. Because if it was another character, if a main character was like a hardened 40-year-old gangster or something like that, the universe would have given another storyline to experience.
Let's talk about Jake Gyllenhaal. Let's do some characters here, because this is a movie where like we're gonna have a character segment. I think he's perfect in this role. He's able to portray all these different shades of Donnie. He's like tender-hearted, lost teenager, and then like he'll blink and be an unblinking sociopath or psychopath, and all these tenors in between. I can't see anybody else in this role. It's like the role that made Jake Gyllenhaal. And I mean, we talked about him a little bit earlier, but he's done nothing but impress me ever since. Especially Bubble Boy, Alex.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the best
Thank
masterpiece of cinema. But seriously, man, Prisoners, Nocturnal Animals, Enemy, Southpaw, fucking Nightcrawler. Jake is the man.
He definitely plays that type of like narrow-browed, broody character very well. That definitely was a pocket that I think he needed to stay in. I think when he goes lighthearted or tries to be like the lovable character, I think it does. It's to his detriment for sure.
Yeah, Bubble Boy. I don't know. I never saw it for obvious reasons.
That is.
Do you genuinely like Bubble Boy, Alex?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I like the original with John Travolta, and I like the remake, but it's hard because
there's a remake.
Well, John Travolta was in the original one.
Oh.
He was the original
idea.
Bubble Boy.
Let's watch both for the show.
I think it was made in like the 70s or something. Yeah, I'm down, dude.
Ooh. Do a little compare and contrasting.
Yeah.
Fucking John Travolta's Bubble Boy? That sounds unwatchable.
It sounds like I can't decide if you're joking or not.
It sounds like a nightmare. I need to see it.
Unless,
maybe we need to book report
crossed.
that.
But as far as him as Donnie Darko, yeah, I think he was amazing. I loved that they included Maggie because I think that the sister and brother dynamic was obviously perfect.
Yeah, his sister is played by Maggie Gyllenhaal, his actual sister. So.
How hilarious would it have been if instead it was like John and Joan Cusack? That would have been.
Do you
want to
know what
movie.
The alternate casting was for Donnie Darko?
Sure.
What would have completely ruined the movie?
Yeah.
They were trying to get Mark Wahlberg to do it, but he was only interested if he could play it with a lisp. So, movie ruined.
Weird.
I'm glad they didn't do that. Jesus Christ.
That is very weird.
Yeah. No. Yeah, moving on. When I watched this in high school, I had a huge crush on Jenna Malone. This time seeing it, being an older, wiser, and total English nerd, however, I could have easily fallen in love with Drew Barrymore.
I was going to say.
Oh, wow, dude. I had such teacher crush vibes on Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Right?
For
For
sure.
real. We're going to dude out here, folks, so just bear with us.
Well, I had a teacher in I think 7th grade science who looked a lot like her, like the long red hair, just like that had the wear that same kind of like hippie-ish style clothing. I don't know. So it was kind of close, like a few years separated between that. So I don't know. I had such a huge crush on her in that movie.
See,
she was like an English nerd.
I'm less like duding out and trying to figure out if there was supposed to be some type of implied.
You think Hanky Panky was going on with Donnie and
I didn't know if Donnie was
Drew?
supposed to think that she was like sexy or something, which is totally normal for a high school student to feel that way, right? Like, I just didn't know if the film was trying to portray that, because there was a moment where he like locked eyes with her, or he was just like staring at her for a little bit, but then they had like a really nice and friendly and amicable conversation, you know, when she
I think that
leaves.
speaks to what we're talking about, really. I mean, if you think about it, like, it's very organic. Like, that's kind of what a high school student would do, is like they're not attracted to their teacher in that way, but like at the same time they're like all young kids and they're kind of like eyes are searching around. So like, I don't know, I think that actually speaks to how realistic it feels.
Yeah, you're like, there's this beautiful, intelligent woman like blowing my mind here. So, you know, like with her teaching ability.
I think he was like, yeah. I mean, he wasn't like necessarily, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the dynamic of the way the characters interact in this movie is one of my favorite elements, I think. It's just like they all speak to each other very genuinely and like in soft tone, hushed voices. Everything in this movie is quiet when it needs to be and loud when it needs to be. Like, they all kind of talk very quietly, and it always feels like what they're talking about is wrong. And that speaks to like another point where I wanted to make, where these tones of politics and religion are so beautifully painted in this movie without being heavy-handed or overbearing. I don't know. I thought that was like a really great weaving into this layers that you're talking about.
Yeah, it does date it a little bit, but I mean the movie, it was like an 80s movie that was made in 2000s anyway, so that doesn't matter. Talking about Dukakis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bush Senior.
Bush
I love
Senior.
that scene where the dad's sitting down and he's just like, "Get him, George."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, that scene always makes me laugh every
Yeah.
time. Just he's like this like kind of like traditional Republican, kind of like what Republicans think they still are now. He's like, I'm just gonna sit here after my family goes to sleep, and I'm not
Drink
even
my
like, he's not
beer.
even Southern. I'm just doing a Southern accent.
Yeah.
Have a whiskey
just-
and watch TV. You get him, George Bush.
Yeah, you get him, George
Pass
Bush.
out
like,
in the
I-
chair.
Yeah,
it's so-
outside in the
it's just
chair.
adorable. They're all watching football
Drinking
with like
whiskey.
his buddy's dad. It's like it's
What
just
they
very
need
like
to do is
all
go for
American.
safety. The
It is.
friend, he's like just trying to impress the older guys.
It has.
Yeah,
I like, I like those buddies. Such classic high school douches.
Oh, his friends.
yeah. His
I was-
oh my god, his best friend.
Not just the
I
bullies.
love the scene. The scene. Oh, it's good shit. Like,
Talk
he's
about
like,
the
fucking cigarette.
dude.
Dude, that scene makes me
I
cry.
have that written down, Jeff. Like that was the one line that stuck out to me.
Oh,
the
that
most.
scene makes you crack up.
I know.
So high school.
There's two. The other one is when they arrive to the party and they're like, "We brought some beers." They have like 2 Coors. He's like, "We have a keg," and he's like, "Keg beer is for pussies, man."
Yeah.
You're like, you suck.
I know, I didn't
You
understand
think
that
you're
line.
So cool.
I didn't understand that
Oh,
because I
man.
was like, wait, what are you talking about? Kegs are like when you know the party is like raging.
Or like when they're having the Smurf conversation.
Yes, that's
Danny,
the third one.
why do you gotta get all smart on us? Like that's one of my favorite lines.
He gets
I
all
like that whole
angry.
Smurf gangbang conversation. That was very Tarantino. It was very well done. I
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
it's very out of nowhere.
It's really funny. It's
But
still
like
funny.
perfectly executed as well.
This is just so illogical.
It's so illogical. I
It's
know
so
the
illogical.
accent. It's played so well.
Yeah. Yeah, you have the young Seth Rogen. We talked about him. We've got
So-
Patrick Swayze.
Yes.
Oh, you want to
Oh,
go?
yeah.
You want to
Rest
talk
in
about
peace.
Seth?
No,
Okay.
I was glad that you brought up Patrick Swayze because I was gonna ask if we could talk about him.
Yeah, he's your favorite character, right? The scummy evangelical bullshitter with a secret kiddie porn dungeon.
I mean, he honestly might be one of my favorite characters in the film, and I totally forgot he was in it. So that was like a really nice surprise.
Would have been nice if he just had some face punching there, some like roundhouse kicks as well.
Like Roadhouse
little
shit.
Roadhouse reference. Yeah.
He definitely was still in like Roadhouse shape. That's for sure.
Probably
I mean,
did
he
like
was
that morning yoga by the
he
lake.
was ready to go.
Oh, that was a man who did morning yoga for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
R.I.P.
Yeah, he's one of those characters that he's great, but I mean, you just have to hate him because he's just such a garbage human. And it's that smugness at like the rally is so it was so perfectly done. It's so touching. You grit your teeth during that scene each time because every response he has to everyone's question, even Donnie's, is so smug and
Yeah.
repugnant.
Yeah.
It's
You just
like,
want
"Oh,
to
fuck
beat him to
you."
death with his own shoes. Like, die.
And
why
you
he's
know
like-
he has something wrong. Like, you know that like a person this, I don't know, like outwardly holy or outwardly like perfect is really just compensating for something really dark. And and like it's great because Donnie clocks that right away, and you kind of are able to say the things to him that you want to say. I don't know if you guys got that feeling too. Like sometimes when Donnie would have his speeches, you would be like, it felt like he said everything you wanted to say to that person.
Yeah, he exists as a foil for Donnie, but also he's emblematic of like how I was saying earlier, all these characters, most of them are archetypes, but it's so well handled that they feel real and you like have genuine sympathy or genuine antipathy towards them. The other character that I immensely dislike, Richard Kelly did a great job, and the actress is what's her name? The mom who's also a teacher. Who's
God,
like,
the
Oh.
gym teacher.
it's
The gym
either
teacher,
love
yeah, I always forget her
or
name.
fear.
Mhm.
Yeah. she's like very,
She plays that
she's got
role
that
a lot.
cult vibe.
The like
Sometimes I
uptight.
doubt your commitment to sparkle motion.
Well, it's just this person that like has bought in. It's different levels of this like American ideal. Like Donnie's family, I think, is trying to represent like the best balance you can have. You have the kid going to college, the dad who kind of gets it but still kind of doesn't. You know, it's like this is the best you can get. But then you have Gretchen, whose dad like is like trying to murder her mom, and you have all these other characters who have kind of bought in or haven't bought into this American dream in different ways. And for her, she's just full in. It's like it's just about the kids and the religion and the mindset and the outlook and like how you look to everybody around you. And it's so strange. And it's like on the other hand, you have the antithesis of like kind of these two older women characters with her, and then you with Grandma Death, who's like,
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Donnie's mom.
no, I was thinking more because her and Donnie's mom, like Donnie's mom is trying. I think she's just been wore down by like she's like a stone on the ocean. You know, she's like just been washed over by this. Because you can see she wants to say the things that Donnie is saying. She wants to, and she does at the end, where she kind of tells her to fuck off.
Yeah, she's one of the most relatable characters in the film. Now that
Truly,
I'm an adult.
yeah, she's a great character. But her, I would more relate the gym teacher to the antithesis of Grandma Death, who's like someone totally removed from everything, just separate until she's almost just like a dog in the road. That's pretty much how people treat her.
So I have a question about this then. Like, does the plot of the story, the fact that A, none of this may have never happened, or B, none of these characters' personalities could possibly or potentially not actually be real, does that affect the characterization at all for you guys?
No. Primarily because the movie exists as this tangential universe, and that's totally fine because it's a movie. And also, in terms of like movie logic, in terms of if you're looking at it as like a closed circle, the echo scene at the very end, the last scene where people wake up and they have the echo of what happened etched into their souls almost, and you have the song, the Strange World song. What's it called?
Mad
World. Mad World. That's what it is. I think that carries it over. And you have that touching little scene with Jenna Malone where she's on the bike and she sees the jet engine falling into the house, and she gives a little wave to Donnie's mom, and the kid asks, "Did you know him?" And you're like on the edge of your seat. You're like, "Does she know him?" She says no, but there's something there. There's something there. And other characters wake up and they cry. So even though they're not them exactly, when it snaps back into like the true world, they have that echo.
Well, I mean, I like the way you put it, like the movie logic, because the movie tries to, well, it doesn't try, it does. It plays with these ideas of alternative universes, split timelines, all these kind of like what at the time, even in the early 2000s when this movie was made, were kind of like high sci-fi ideas, but still being like loosely talked about. I mean, Michio Kaku was still like in his early career or mid-career at that point, because he's like 1,000 of like talking about alternate universes and bubble universes. So this movie kind of touches on these early ideas in a really fun way. Like I believe that the events of the movie did happen. Like that's really my read, is like an event happens which splits the timeline. These events happen in a divergent timeline, and sometimes the timelines come close to each other and then they back away. And I think that's when the times where Donnie is experiencing the bigger hallucinations, is when the timelines are becoming more divergent. And it's like kind of Frank is almost like self-correcting. He's like self-correcting the timeline, and it's interesting. He has to like come back and remind Donnie of what he must do.
Yeah, Donnie needs to die in order for the entire universe not to implode. Basically, like these two timelines can't exist at the same time. That's what's clearly laid out in the director's cut, which if you're going to watch this movie, watch that one.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, so because it says that they can't exist at the same time, so he had to die. Poor boy.
Poor boy. And he accepts it with like a smile, and that's always like a great little representation of like his like a hero's journey come to fruition.
And he's actually a hero, right?
He's a hero. He's great.
For sure. He's like almost like the best kind of hero, where he doesn't.
The
he kind
martyr.
of just stumbles through it. You know, he's just like, I kind of understand what's going on. I'm gonna try my best. You know, he's not like sitting hands on his hips, like I'm gonna save the universe. It's like I'll try my best. It's like his whole like flow. This whole movie.
Maybe it's all tracksuit guy. Maybe it's just tracksuit guy.
It's just tracksuit guy.
Yeah, maybe it's him. It's Donnie Darko is just a red herring for a tracksuit guy. I had this guy in my notes because I was like, what the hell? And then he showed up again. There's the scene with them in the forest. They're just trying to kiss, and she's like, and there's this weird guy staring at us. But then he shows up on the opposite side of the street when they're having the party, and I was like, okay, what's going on? What's going on with tracksuit guy? And I was going to ask you guys, but then in my research, I found this. According to the commentary by Richard Kelly, the man in the red jogging suit is an agent from the FAA, which was so confused by the jet engine event that they sent agents to monitor the family members.
Jesus.
That makes sense.
So, there's no indication of that in the film, but there's your directorial explanation.
Well, that's just shit that gets left on the floor, you know.
Cutting
It's
room
just
floor.
how it works. It's I mean, it makes a little sense because the way the FAA reacted in the beginning of the movie, they're like, it's very like hush hush, and they like bring the parents aside, and you can tell like there's like they sign contracts where they can't talk about things. So like, are they getting a settlement? You never really know what's quite happening with the actual event itself.
It reminded me of like E.T. for a second. You know, they like bring out like this huge crime scene investigation shit, and like, I don't know, there's like big white tents or something. But I feel like it actually said something about that in one of those little cards, those typed out things where it was like, governments will be quick to like, I don't know, do something about it.
It signposts like what's going on in the film.
Yeah.
It's like a metal object will be the indicator of this split in reality and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because when I was younger, it was harder to get access to like director's cuts. They just like weren't available unless you like, you know, sailed the seas. And so I only ever watched the original, and when I would look into the movie, I would have to like read those little title cards like on websites and stuff like that because I was never able to see it until much later.
Oh, damn.
Oh, I didn't even know the director's cut
That's
had come
devotion.
out that early.
I don't know if it even did. I don't know. I just
It
when
could
I
be a
was, like,
false memory.
Yeah, when I just remember researching about this movie a lot when I was younger and like finding those little clues like about like the metal object as the catalyst. So maybe it was like out in the world before it got kind of coalesced into the director's cut through interviews. I don't know.
Maybe it was from a different universe.
Could have been,
Maybe
man.
it was from a different universe.
Maybe it all spiderwebbed out at some point.
Maybe you're
and
from
it's
a
you.
different universe, Jeff. How
Maybe
do I
it's
even
you, Jeff.
know?
You need to sacrifice yourself to save the true universe.
I don't know enough about you, honestly, to know if you're the real Jeff or not. So
I don't know. You're right. I just need to vote for Dukakis.
I would have thought that it
Save
would have
the
been
world.
Alex. We've already established that Alex is the main character. So.
yeah, so I guess the engine's coming through my bedroom, huh?
Yeah, look out.
Oh, yeah,
keep
for
a
sure.
lookout. Keep a lookout for guys in bunny suits. Keep a lookout for Jenna Malone. She's gonna come try to seduce you.
That reminds
flirt
me.
with you.
Can I say I actually have a friend whose wife, and she's my friend too. I went to high school with her. She looks a lot like her.
Cool.
Yeah. What up, Stephanie?
It's a great story.
I thought you were going somewhere with that.
No, she just looks like her. That's it.
Great.
I
I mean,
Okay.
how great is that costume, though? Like,
I was gonna
how
say
perfect
the bunny
is
is
that
like
fucking
iconic.
the bunny costume.
Frank.
And
Frank.
also, I just want to say, where did Donnie all of a sudden become like a master level pumpkin carver? Okay,
His name's Frank.
he's like, dude, they're in
Hey,
the
you don't know.
kitchen and they're like carving.
You don't know what skills Donnie's got.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm.
Well, he's supposed to be artistic, I think, is like
Is
the
he?
idea.
Because when he turns the
Yeah, I mean,
pumpkin around,
no,
it's
in a-
so good. It's like
It's like in like he's supposed to be artistic and kind of like a people don't understand what depression
Are
is.
you saying
even in, like,
autistic
early
or
2000s.
artistic?
Artistic
Okay,
with an
okay.
R,
Sorry,
not with a U.
sorry.
No, I think he's supposed to be
Hashtag
artistic.
cancel Alex Aber.
That was a genuine question. Because
No, it's right. I mean, it's hard to. It would be hard to suss that out.
Because it made sense either
he's
way.
a little bit on the spectrum, I think. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just been like, I think the one thing that I think is negative about this movie is its attitude towards medication at this time. Medication is very much its own little mini villain in this movie.
Mm-hmm. What's a placebo?
Yeah, it's more just like the idea of like, I gotta take my pills and that'll make me, neutered to this like super cool broody experience I'm having. And I think a lot of like depressed kids are like, yeah, I don't need my medicine, I'll see Frank and fuck the school up. And it's like, I mean,
you're saying it could
take your pills.
Could be giving the wrong message a little bit.
Exactly.
I could see that.
I think a little bit. I think it just not really giving the wrong message. I think that's even too strong. I think it just was a part of an already large narrative at this time, was that like medications neuter the artistic and like the more like deeper thinking side of you, and like they're the enemy because they're gonna make you someone you're not.
Absolutely.
So you take the damn pills, mom.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's not add to this idea, because we're now just in like it's taken until 2022 till people to be like, no, please, like, take your medications. It's a good thing.
People's lives have been helped with, good administered psychopharmacological drugs.
Yeah, take your time, get your dosage, but it's like, it's just a little bit. That was like my one critique of the movie I could possibly think of.
Hey, if we'll get sponsored by anyone, if anyone's listening in Big Pharma.
We just lost our Big Pharma sponsor.
No, we gained them. We're like, hey, take your meds.
Yeah, we just gained them. But yeah, if you're part of our vast tween audience, then, if don't listen to Donnie. Take your pills.
Well,
take
don't
your
listen
little pills.
to it. It has good messages, but like, it's a movie and it's a sci-fi.
I mean, Donnie,
movie.
the character in that exact circumstance.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like listen to
Definitely
Donnie
follow
Darko.
the bunny. Definitely follow the bunny to the gun.
Definitely chase the white rabbit.
Oh God, it's
to round out the
in.
characters, real quick. I have a secret favorite character, and I'm wondering if you can guess who it is.
Okay. Is it all right? Can I get one hint?
What? Oh, okay.
Is it a serious character or is it a funny character?
It's a very touching character.
Touching character. Okay.
Grandma.
Yeah. It is not Grandma. I do like her though. Grandma Death is an interesting specter that haunts this film.
Yeah. It's badass.
But that is not the one I have written here.
It's badass.
I'm gonna say the male teacher.
We've not talked about him either, but he's great as well. I love the conversations that he has with Donnie. And I love that neither of you guys got this, because it does make it really a secret
Is it
favorite
the Chinese
character.
girl?
It is.
Yeah. Shut up.
It's Sharita Chen.
Sharita.
She's so sad.
I
And there
know.
are these heartbreaking, subtle moments where she appears. Nobody's ever nice to her except Donnie, bless his heart.
Yeah.
And she reminded me of all these like ancillary figures in high school who were always alone. She felt very real to me.
Yeah.
Her presence was
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
oddly tender.
You knew 100 Sharitas in high school, like 100 girls who like just either through what was for her like just race issue, or just being like the only Asian person in a million billion miles in white America,
Being overweight.
But I think it's also, or just like being like, you had like the cat girls when I was in high school who were super into anime and all that kind of stuff. Like there was just different.
She wasn't even like that though. The cat girl thing was like, even at least they had like their niche, and it was like a
No,
community.
Jeff is extrapolating here.
It was like a community. With her, she was like a true bona fide out and out like loner.
Yeah, she had. Well, no, because it seemed like she was kind of friends with
She rode the
Donnie's
same
sister.
bus.
He was nice to her.
They
You
like
see
stood
her
at the
perform.
bus stop. I think.
Yeah, you see her there. These are my favorite moments with her. You see her perform alone as an angel in the talent show,
Mhm.
and then she goes outside and just sits alone. There's something to that was really touching. You see her once again alone when Drew Barrymore gets fired, walks outside and screams expletives at the sky. He's alone there. And when Donnie walks up and he says, he takes her by the head and he's like, I promise that someday things are going to be better for you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She starts
I
wearing
loved it.
earmuffs throughout the movie too, just so she can like tune out the world, I think.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a good read. I never even like picked up on that.
No, I thought she's maybe cold or something. didn't think about it.
But you are right. Yeah, she did like. But then, did anyone like when she had her little speech when she was doing the fear and love thing? Did anyone a little surprised by her like articulation.
That she spoke English.
Well, no, because it's just because the way she says "shut up," she was like "shut up," and you're like, "Oh, okay." So she's like, just doesn't like can't communicate well. She has an accent, and then when she speaks in the Fear and Love thing, it's like, no, she has no accent at all. And I was like, huh, that's a little odd. The choice that they made. Like, why did she say "shut up" that way?
Indeed, the answer to your question is yes. That was odd.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks for answering my question,
Yeah.
Jesse.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I didn't pick
you
up on that.
You
That
are
makes
vindicated.
sense.
You are validated and vindicated, Jefferson.
There's a bunch of like little. I mean, Drew Barrymore kind of like deserves to be fired. I mean,
no way.
Why?
Sit next to which boy is the cutest is some kind of wild shit for a teacher to do.
Wait, is that what she was getting
In the
fired?
beginning, when Gretchen
No.
first joins the
She's
class,
getting fired because of she wants to teach books that are real books.
Oh yeah, no, she shouldn't have got fired for that reason, obviously. But I mean, as far as like being a professional teacher, she toes that line a little bit.
Damn.
It made for a good movie scene though.
It did. It was funny, and it like set up like their dynamic as like these kind of, random characters that are just brought together. It makes sense narratively. It's just as far as if you take a step back, you're like, wow, that's some wild, unprofessional shit for a teacher to do.
I had teachers say that sometimes, though.
I mean, of course, we all did. It's just when you
But I
think
didn't
about
think
it as
about
an
it then,
adult
exactly,
now, you're
yeah.
like, huh, I don't know if I'd appreciate that in my kid's class. I don't know. Maybe I'm just alone in this.
It's fine. It's fine.
Jesse has that old 50s mentality. He's just like, let him fuck.
Yeah, fucking, you give him hell, George.
Is that a 50s mentality? I
don't
feel like 50s mentality is take them on
It
20
would have been way
dates.
more buttoned down. It's like the opposite.
And then they can maybe fuck with the lights off,
With
covers
the lights
on.
of the Lord on.
the
only
real
to make
question,
babies.
the real question here is, what is the most important invention in human history?
What's plumbing?
Penicillin.
No,
Penicillin.
it's plumbing. I hate
No?
how he says that it's antibiotics.
I don't think
That's
it.
fine.
Yeah, you guys are both
I
wrong.
think it's plumbing. No, he says antibiotics.
Yeah, this is
I
not.
believe.
He says antibiotics.
He says antiseptic.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, he
does.
does. You're right. He does
You
say
mean soap?
antiseptics. Soap.
Yeah. So this is my lead into talking about scenes that we love.
All right.
Yeah,
We've
you guys
done
have
that.
some favorite scenes?
I mean, I think we can just check one off all of our boxes, which is the auditorium scene when he kind of has his big speech.
I think
that's
you're
one of the
the fucking Antichrist.
Yeah.
Yep, I think you're fucking Antichrist. Like, that's one of the best lines in the movie, so I think we can just check that
Yeah,
off so we don't
that's a
have to
good
talk
one.
about
I
it.
like the cigarette line
Oh,
a lot for some reason. And when he
Yeah, for me, it's little scenes.
rolls
like
out
when they're
of the bus.
Yeah, it's just a little scene like when they're sitting in the junk area shooting bottles and like drinking shitty liquor out of like bottles that they probably like asked someone to buy for them.
yeah.
And it was just
Yeah.
that was very reminiscent of like me and being that age, just like sitting in some shitty place where no adults are gonna go,
Drinking
just, like,
booze.
drinking booze and fucking shit up
Yeah.
and just being destructive, having stupid conversations about the Smurfs, like
Yeah,
taking it super
right.
seriously.
We had a place we called the Forest, right next to our.
They had
high
an
school.
amazing. No, continue.
Well, no, I'm just saying we had like a place just like that where
Did you?
Yeah, it's
just
did
like
you like hide your pornos out there? You hide your Playboys out there and stuff.
beer, bongs,
Beer,
cigarettes.
pipes, bongs. Yeah, we had the same. We had a sewer.
Nice.
We actually were like Ninja Turtles. We had like you know those giant
Yes.
drainage
Yes.
pipes that you can like walk
Yeah.
in. There was one that was like not built. It was just an L.
Oh.
So you could go in one side and then it was just a drain on the other, which is meant for like water overflow.
Yeah.
And so we had like pallets set up in there, and that was like our little hangout. It was like pitch black and smelled like shit.
Mm-hmm.
We were just like sewer rats, so we just hung in there and drank beer.
Oh man, we just went to the park.
Nah, because like you get chased out of the park.
Yeah,
and
there's like
shit, and
families
people,
there.
like,
Yeah.
report
Shit.
you.
The shit we were doing.
No, well, like in Sebastopol where we grew up, there's like a park that's like a big old park that goes off into nature, so you can just go all the way back in.
Yeah, that's cool.
basically. Yeah. But yeah, I love this scene. There's this scene that's very 80s to me. It's like the most 80s scene near the end, and Donnie declares a call to action. The time is almost up. So he, Gretchen, and his fucking douche nozzle friends hop on bicycles. And it's so wonderfully
yeah.
80s nostalgia.
Yeah.
It felt so sincere, very cute, innocent.
Kids on bikes.
Yep.
Magical.
Everyone loves kids on
With their
bikes.
lights.
Yeah,
at
very
night.
E.T.
Yep.
Even
E.T.,
though they're
that's why
like,
Stranger Things was even popular. It was kids on bikes.
Goonies.
it has this
It-
nice juxtaposition with the tonal darkness that the movie was like stewing in by this point.
It was very much like a classic. It kind of it grounded the movie back to almost that family
The
drama
house
that
party.
you're talking about.
The house party was like the perfect way to culminate that, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, this is a
Dude.
high school kids drama.
Speaking of that, the song that plays in there is
In Excess?
Killing Moon.
Or by Echo and the
It's
Bunny
Killing
Man?
Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or did Richard Kelly have to know what he was doing with that one? I mean, come on. Echo and the Bunnymen.
That makes sense.
Could have been a coincidence.
But
It
But
is
the
a very
music is
popular
very-
band from that era.
and it's
Yeah,
true.
but also the music is very like deliberate in this movie, I feel, and it whether it's just like backing tracks or just I don't know, the movie's oddly quiet at times and then has like really great grand scenes with like great 80s songs. So I don't know, I think Richard Kelly is definitely a music fan and would choose the songs intentionally.
I will say, there's no scene that catches me in this film because of its prettiness or like its cinematography or visual aspect necessarily, but it doesn't need to. I don't think it's a drawback. It isn't like the film's success doesn't rely on its cinematography necessarily or its like prettiness, if that makes sense. It has a nice like palette, a color palette that it deals in, but other than that, it doesn't get too like visually striking to me, if that makes sense.
I would say that the inaugural really long tracking shot through the school is fantastic.
Oh yeah. That part definitely.
And I
Cut into
believe
slow motion.
there's another one towards the end at the party. Is that true?
I don't
might
know.
be
I don't
conflating.
remember.
But my point is there are a few moments where I was marveling at the filmmaking when he was doing his Paul Thomas Anderson shots.
That's a good way to put it.
The
But
scene when he's
yeah.
in the mirror, like stabbing the mirror with the knife, I think that they played with like the lighting and like that sharp, piercing, singular light against like the really dark background. I think they play with light a lot in this because, I mean, dark is in the title. Like this movie, I watched it on my TV in like 4K HD, the best quality I could,
Yeah.
and it was so dark in certain scenes. It was I could barely like bring out the characters because it was just so fucking dark. I almost wanted to go back to the older version.
I didn't
was
know
a
they
little-
changed the color palette.
Yeah,
That
it
might
was,
have
it's
just-
so fucking dark.
No. Well, speaking of dark, I also love the movie theater. I love that they're watching Evil Dead for numerous reasons.
Everyone, yeah, of course.
I mean, I love Evil Dead, of course. It helps set you in that late 80s time frame of the film's world. And I had this in my notes, like when I was thinking about whether it was like what the intent was, right? Because I'm thinking, okay, it's also about a movie about opening a portal to an evil dimension, so maybe there's something there. But through my research, I learned that he wanted to have something else there. But then Sam Raimi was just like, you can use Evil Dead for free. I don't care. Your movie's cool. So we just used that. So all of my thinking about what it meant didn't mean much, but you can still bring your interpretation. That's totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the artist's
Yeah.
like take on it. you know?
But what's more on the nose, however, is that the other movie playing is The Last Temptation of Christ, Martin Scorsese's abstract rendition of the Jesus, who sacrificed.
Jesus.
Of the
who sacrificed.
So you should have just left it at that. You should his abstract interpretation of the Jesus.
Yeah, he sacrificed himself to save humanity. So pretty obvious signposting there, but I'll let it slide. It's a nice minor
I mean,
detail,
yeah.
right? Nice minor detail.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those movies that just it gets in, does the job, and gets out. And I think that's always a movie that I choose.
Do you think that's true? It's over 2 hours. There's a lot
but
of
it doesn't
meandering.
feel like 2 hours. It doesn't stretch its concepts. It doesn't take too much time with certain scenes. It's just, that's what I mean is a movie doesn't need to be short to tell you the story in an efficient way.
I don't
This
know.
movie
I don't
gets
know
to
if
the
I
point.
agree. I think it's perfect, and I love every scene. But I love how it meanders around, how it hangs out in high school for a while. Like you didn't need to have all that stuff to tell your time travel plot line. But if you're looking at it like holistically, about the sort of 3 layers, to go back to the beginning here, that Richard Kelly wanted to tell, obviously, and interweave, then I guess you did have to have all of that. And it's all perfectly balanced.
It's part of it's following a character, Donnie, and so you have to go through each facet of his life in different amounts.
Slice of life, baby.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You just have to annoy Jeff. If you think of a way, you gotta throw it out there.
Just use any of that like magazine vernacular.
Yeah. It's a love letter to the 80s.
It makes you feel like it's a love letter to depression. It makes you feel like you're depressed and psychotic. And
it's a love letter to In Excess and Duran Duran and Oingo Boingo. My favorite Suicide Boy, Ian Curtis from Joy Division.
Oh, boy. Yeah. This is a movie that I enjoy a lot. I think it also, in Alex's kind of read of it when he was younger, I think it did get a lot of shit, I guess, because it definitely has like a more of a cult following, I think, than I don't think it's considered like a conventionally successful movie.
It almost came out on video, actually. Drew Barrymore had a big, like, her production company snapped it up, and that's the reason it even got a theatrical release at all. It was just going to go straight to like a channel or something.
Shit.
But the critical, if you look at like the critical like aggregate, it's huge. The movie is really well received.
Well, the movie was out for a long time before like there was that type of distillation of reviews.
Maybe, but a lot of it, if you look at it, it's pulling reviews from the time. So people at the time liked it. There's a reason we all knew about it. The reason like it had this impact. It's not like this was making the rounds in all the high schools of America without any critics talking about it.
No, yeah. Something about this film, like, it was either older siblings that showed it to the younger siblings, which were my friends or something like that. It was like a passed down thing, and it was definitely a word of mouth movie. Like, I would meet someone for the first time, and they'd be like, "Oh, have you seen Donnie Darko?" And like,
see, that's wild. I saw it on TV.
Yeah, that's crazy to me, because it was definitely passed over to me in that like cultural tradition way. And yeah, I just don't think I don't think it caught my attention enough for me to pay attention really to what was going on. I thought it was just kind of like angsty, and I did not have my hair dyed black to make.
Well, you guys were like
context.
11 still.
Yeah, I was playing
I was just on that borderline of puberty. So it's just
I think I saw
right
this movie
moment.
when I was like 13 for the first time, because I saw it on TV, so it had to have been out for a while to be on TV.
Yeah,
Doohickey. I'm just kidding.
Because I was like, it's one of those movies that like TNT would play like late at night. They would play like the more like darker movies, and I would be like, okay, this is cool. This movie's on like 11.
Dark City.
I saw like half of it, and I was like, what the fuck is this movie?
Yeah, I was trying to think what else falls into this category for me. And I think that's pretty like generally accepted movies of this, I don't know, this tone, I guess, and around this time as well. Like the Tim Burton, Johnny Depp stuff, and The Crow, which we'll do next week.
I would put maybe not style, not filmmaking genre, but as far as like narrative similarities, I would put Jacob's Ladder in there.
Yeah, the sort of echoes of reality and questioning what's going on.
Psychosis,
in a sense.
because of some type of traumatic event. You don't know. You like live out this alternative storyline, and then in the end you're dead. You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah, Jacob Ladder gets weirder.
Yeah, that movie's interesting.
There's some like pretty like intense scenes in that one.
Yeah, I think Donnie Darko is much more like cohesive. Not cohesive is the wrong word. I think it's much more like digestible to a wider audience than Jacob's Ladder.
Oh yeah.
I think this is definitely a movie that like you can find some meaning in, like Jess was saying earlier, when you're young, regardless of how much of it you understand.
Right.
There's something there to take for everyone. It's like, even if you just like, oh, the bunny guy's spooky. Like, there's something there.
Yeah.
To bite and chew on.
There were some people who I knew who were really into the film. And it's funny because what you're saying all happened to me just now when I was 30, after you suggested to watch it again. But I think that was good because I watched it briefly when I was very young. And then I knew it was always there. but I never watched it again until now. And I liked it. I really enjoyed it this time around.
Yeah, this movie feels like such a part of me. It feels like if you were gonna like look at my soul through a microscope and like dissect it into different movies, this would be part of it. It's like it feels like an integral part of my being. And I love that you brought it back to me, Jeff. I thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I thank you.
Now, who felt bad for Frank? Like the real guy?
Oh, dude, he was just trying to party with his bros and get some beer and just like be cool in his fucking
when you first see him, when you first see him at the party, like when I just remember being young, going, "Oh shit, that's the oh no, what's gonna happen?" Like
that's
you knew
the bunny
at that
guy.
point, it's like you knew at that point that like that's when like the plot's gonna. That's almost like the point of no return at the movie is when you see Frank for the first time, not as shot in the eye Frank.
You know what's hilarious too? Is he's in a movie that we are going to do an episode on coming up as well after The Crow.
Really?
Yeah, he's in Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh, wow. What the hell?
Yeah, he's the computer bitch that they all make fun. No, not the computer guy. He's the guy that they make fun of who can't do anything but order food.
Oh, yeah. He's like the dopey guy in the garage.
He's also on Independence Day.
I order pizzas. I order really good pizzas.
He's Randy Quaid's son in Independence Day. Yo, this actor, I don't know his name, but he was trying to make a name for himself a little bit coming up. Like, he was like, I'm the more Native American looking Keanu Reeves actor type of guy. And I just don't remember what happened to him.
It's always interesting to see through the lens of time, right? These actors who are like, you could have gone somewhere, you were trying, and then they just fell off, or maybe you look them up and it's like
guy.
They've done 30 years of television after.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
James Duvall.
I was talking to my friend Emmy yesterday, and she was like, I met my favorite actor yesterday, so that was cool. And I was like, who was it? Was it Ben Affleck? What are you talking about? And no, she has a picture of her with Edward Furlong, who we were talking about just the other day. So he's still alive.
Man. Yeah, that coke bloat is real.
That coke bloat is fucking real.
Yeah, he's. I've heard that he's gotten pretty big, but is he up in your guys' stomping ground?
I don't know where she was. She must.
Lots
have
of celebrities have like little like houses in our.
She looks. This picture makes it look like she was in like one of those conventions with the celebrity zoo in it. You know, probably paid to get an autograph. Probably paid him $20.
I mean, that's probably how he's paying his rent nowadays.
Yeah,
anyway,
for sure.
So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I was once could ride a motorcycle.
Yeah, poor kid.
Yep. I mean, that's Hollywood, brother.
We were talking some other episode how it's cool when
you dry.
When child actors actually grow up and aren't just chewed up and spit out.
Yeah.
You know, some of them make it to the other side.
Jodie Foster is a good example of that because I'm pretty sure everyone was like, oh, she's gonna be so disturbed for playing a prostitute at this young of an age. Like, she's just gonna be ruined. And she was like, you know what? Fuck all of you. I am going to go to Harvard and get my degree, and I'm going to continue to act, and I'm going to make this movie called Silence of the Lambs, where I go toe-to-toe with one of the greatest actors of all time, and I do all right, so fuck you.
What did you guys think of the sequels to that?
Like Red Dragon
Hannibal,
and shit?
Red Dragon.
Red Dragon was really interesting. I mean,
interesting.
I like Edward Norton in it, and I think that Ralph Fiennes was an incredibly... he was a great villain. Holy shit.
Hannibal has some interesting stuff in there. I love Julianne Moore. She's one of my favorite actresses. So whenever she shows up, I'm happy.
I think they each have like value. They're not all like, I don't think there's a one I can say that's like total shit. I haven't seen have any of you seen The Show?
No, I don't watch anything show-wise. You guys know this.
Television. And then Hannibal Rising. I don't remember.
Oh, no, I have not seen The Show.
It's the sequel to Valhalla Rising, starring Hannibal Lecter.
Well, Matt Mikkelsen is
that movie.
one of them, right?
It's just him killing Christians.
It's the same movie, but it's Anthony Hopkins. He's like eating people.
He's just eating Christians in early like Norse settlements.
Yeah, he goes to the New World.
Lets himself get battered by some like New England indigenous tribe.
Do you have any fava beans?
A
He's
census doctor
He's like,
once
this is
tried
where
to
fava
examine
beans
me.
were invented, actually.
He's like goes back in time.
Only 1,000 years until Chianti. Sorry.
I'm merely giving you a psychological profile of Buffalo Bill.
Chianti.
I mean, the best one is definitely Silence, though. That movie is a classic.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not. There's no like.
But
It's
I think
just it's
I think
Silence
it's-
and then all the rest of the sequels.
To me, it's a downward scale, just in terms of like. I mean, the second one's directed by Ridley Scott, so you're generally going to get a well-directed film with him.
Jolene is obsessed with Hannibal Lecter and that like just that world. She named her cat Mishka, which is the name of Hannibal Lecter's sister.
That's
that
a
he, like,
deep cut.
ate.
Jesus
yeah, like
Christ.
super deep because she read the books too. Like, yeah, she had a cat named Mishka, and I was like, "Oh, that's cute. Like, why'd you give her a little Russian name?" She was like, "No, it's actually like Hannibal Lecter's sister that like he ate." I was like, "Oh, okay." And I still married
Let's
her.
get married.
You just got a cat, Alex. What'd you name it? Did you name it a cool film thing? Did you name it Matt Damon?
I didn't name it. My girlfriend named
Oh.
it.
What'd you name it?
Mushu.
Oh, that's my rat's name.
And it is from a movie, I guess. I don't know if she chose it from Mulan.
Mulan.
That's Eddie Murphy's, dragon character. However, when it's just him and I, sometimes I still call him by his adopted name, Jeffrey, because I just thought it was a
Fuck
very
you.
cute. Fuck me.
Fuck you.
I like that. You should change it back.
So we have a
No.
little
The
secret.
full name
Nothing
is-
should ever
we have-
be named
we have a little
that.
Jeffrey
secret pact.
Casanova.
Pact that like when I see him, sometimes I'll call him Jeffrey, but when she's around, I'll say Mushu. That's fine.
I support this wholeheartedly.
Real quick, I'd like to get your guys' opinion on Richard Kelly's filmography.
I was going to do this. Yeah. Let's do
What
it.
else has he done?
because I actually
Indeed, Alex. Indeed. That is a prescient question.
so he's directed 5 movies.
So, four
Four
movies,
movies.
basically. Well, actually, really 3 if you get down to it. Visceral Matter is like a student film that he basically disowns. It's like under an hour long, too. It's had, like, nobody's ever seen that. So you're basically talking Donnie Darko, Southland Tales, and The Box. What's in the box?
What?
What's in the
I haven't,
box?
I have not seen either of
I haven't
these.
seen any.
I haven't either. So, but he wrote Domino.
He wrote Domino.
Don't you like that movie,
So,
Jeff?
and that's another one of my favorites.
Jeff likes it.
So,
Keira
Yeah.
Knightley.
Yeah.
Damn, Jeff, you and I would have been going to the movie theater a lot if we were friends back in the day.
Dude,
Because, like, you're hitting
would
all
have
these
been.
movies that, like, I just went to the movie theaters with my friends to see. Like, I feel like, were you a big Pirates of the Caribbean fan when it was coming out?
I like the first couple. Yeah.
Yeah, like the
Like,
first two.
I lost the thread at like the fucking 18th one.
Well, yeah,
But,
of course, like,
yeah,
not all
yeah,
that
like the first
bullshit.
3, I think.
Yeah, the
I was
first 2
really
or 3.
into.
I've actually seen all those in theaters. It just happened.
I don't know why, right? Those movies are
All
just
of
like
them.
the theater
Adam,
magnets.
friend of the show, Adam Myers and I went off and saw the last one because we were like, we just had nothing to do. We're like, let's go see Pirates. We know exactly what it will be.
The first one is legitimately good.
Yeah,
Like,
first one's
that
great.
is a good movie. The first,
Yeah,
like I
it was
loved
great.
The first, I even think like it would be fun to do an episode on it because it's just so genuinely fun.
Yeah, that would be like our like doing the Mummy kind of thing, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, just a good fun movie. But yeah, back to Richard Kelly. I have not seen any of his movies except for Donnie Darko. I almost want to have us watch The Box for Russian Roulette because I
think I've
hear
seen the box.
it's so freaking insane. It's apparently so insane.
I think I've seen this movie.
It's like it goes in every direction. And
I could see maybe how the person who made Donnie Darko, I'm saying if you watch the film, the director's cut, I could see how the director could be a one-hit wonder. I could see how he just hit everything on the mark perfectly and just expended all of his energy into this one really good film and then just wasn't able to do it. And I don't know why. I can't provide any evidence or anything for that feeling. It's just how I feel when I watch Donnie Darko.
Yeah, it does feel like one of those movies where one element out of balance could have ruined the whole thing. Like
He's
we
doing
talked
a lot.
about, like with Mark Wahlberg cast or something. There you go, movie ruined.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's this level of like he's trying to do so much with this idea and wrapping it into this narrative with the family and the high school. and it's
and the sci-fi and the universe, and it all works really well. But yeah,
But I agree with you, Alex. I think I don't know exactly why either, but it does feel like it would be a hard thing to do again.
yeah.
Did anyone read any of these personal quotes from his IMDb?
No.
I actually went through. I read a few like interviews with him, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, this one is really interesting. I did a grand film that ended up hurting me more than it helped. My grad film. Sorry. Oh no, he's talking about
visceral matter.
Visceral matter. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I thought he was talking about Donnie Darko, and I was like, wait,
No.
what?
Grad. Yeah, his film school project.
I thought it said grand. There's my stupid brain. Yeah, there's very interesting quotes here. He seems to be a little bit too personal with his work in a way that it seems like a detriment to his own mental state.
Oh God. So Southland Tales, his next film in 2006, is a 2.5-hour comedy starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Sean William Scott. Sarah Michelle Gellar. What the fuck?
I think I've seen that.
That's gonna be a hard pass for me.
I'm good. I'm good on that.
I think I've seen that. Wait, hold on. Let me see.
Sarah Michelle Gellar is in there.
Sarah Michelle Gellar. Wow. No, I haven't. I know. I saw an earlier movie with these two that this is probably why they got recast. Did anyone see, what was it called?
I have no idea. Walk Hard, the Dewey
Line?
Cox story.
No, that's Walk Hard. Was it
Walking Tall? Walking
Tall.
Walk
That's
the Line
what it
is
was.
Is Walking Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It had the word walk in it.
But yeah, dude, what I've read about the box.
Hey, Walk Hard is a great movie.
Walk Hard just sounds like an Asian like cooking tournament.
You can look forward to the three of us sitting down and watching the box at some point, I think.
Oh, yeah, God. I think the box looks interesting. Like, it's nice to see Cameron Diaz. Like, I've never really seen many of her movies beyond Spider-Man, so it'd be nice to see her in another strong role.
He also wrote. Oh no, he didn't write it. It's just a character credit. But there is a sequel to this film called S. Darko from 2009, directed by some hack, about Donnie Darko's little sister when she's like grown up.
The one in Sparkle.
Directed by some hack.
And it has some of the worst ratings I've ever seen. I'm kind of curious, but at the same time, it looks like I wouldn't even get through it.
Oh God, that might be a Russian roulette one too.
God, it's so funny, dude. It's so mean. Just like you're right. I'm looking through this guy's shit, and he's definitely some hack.
Yeah.
He knows. He knows.
He knows.
Whatever.
Oh man, trying to sequel a movie like Donnie Darko is so just beyond stupid.
I wonder if he got Richard Kelly's blessing, because it's like, just don't do that. I don't know. Just don't do it. Weird.
Don't do it.
Very weird. Well,
yeah.
My boys, my boyos.
It's like the Reel Weirdos.
My lovely gentlemen. Yep. Thank you for joining us on this lovely episode. My co-host and the audience. We did it. We finally did it.
We did it. We recorded it. It's done.
It will have yet to see if jet engines will crash through all three of our houses as we stop the recording. Motto. But hopefully, if that does happen, I hope somebody will edit this in our absence. And
please
send it out there, because we will have sacrificed ourselves for the universe. Okay?
Exactly.
That's all at least you can do.
Life.
You're so illogical.
Subscribe for the sake of the universe.
Subscribe for the sake of an illogical universe.
It's illogical.
My name's Donnie Darko. Thanks for listening. See you later.
See you later.
Now our podcast is done, and we have to run. We know it is sad, but we had so much fun. Don't be bereft, Jesse, Alex, and Jeff. We'll be back real soon. The Reel Weirdos. We talk about movies for way too goddamn long. Bo 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 bo.